Dave, noticed that practice started with a little bit of a gathering on the ice. What was the tone and kind of the messaging that you wanted to give the group today?
Just a little bit of where we're at, what we got to be thinking about today in practice. And normally we would have a meeting before, but I wanted to leave the guys. We came in a little bit later today, so we had a short meeting on the ice and had a good practice, and we'll get ready for tomorrow.
The team's scoring enough goals right now. Maybe, like you talked about, defending and details are the issue. Does that make it a little more solvable than a group that is struggling to score?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, there's some issues that we're giving up some chances that we're not giving up a lot of chances, but the ones that we are have been real good ones. I look at the game last night. There was some thinking. There's ones that we can just take out of our game just by managing the game a little better. And then there's other ones that are just missed assignments. So those are both, we can address both of those. That being said, I thought we generated more last night with, there's some different things we're trying to do to help us get a little more pressure in the game, play a little more time in the offensive zone. And I think we accomplished a lot of those things last night. We just didn't win. So now you got to get those things to where you're a winning formula, not one where you're chasing the game.
How do you balance the good side of it? Hey, we've been down a couple goals 3 games in a row and tied it. With the other side of it, it'd be nice not to be down 2 going to the third period in each game. So,
the way I balance is just tell the truth. Tell them why we got down 2, and then tell them why we got back. So there's things that happen in a game. I like the way we're pushing at certain times, but I don't like some of the mistakes we're making at times when can't make those mistakes, and there's a whole array of things. Like we talk about the couple that we're thinking. We gave up a goal with 20 seconds left or whatever it was in the first period, and we have the puck in the offensive zone. That's one that we should get. We shouldn't be making that mistake. There's another one. We ice the puck. We need a line change, but then we decide to go down and try to beat people going down, and there's no communication about the change, and we give up a 2-on-1. Those are things that are thinking things that we have to get better at. So you address those head on, but then you also have to address we're doing some good things in the game, making some good plays. We scored 5 goals. I mean, there's some positives to that. So it's every day you address the good and try to build on the good and try to limit the bad and find better results.
Dave, you mentioned the leadership group last night and how they may handle this first significant skid of the season.
We'll see. It's a work in progress, right? But really, I look at your leadership group as it's kind of the core of your team, the identity of your team, and how they handle rough situations is a good indicator of how your club is going to play. So they were all right on board this morning. They understood what happened last night or the last few games. You have to stay positive, but you also have to recognize some issues have to get cleaned up. So the way I looked at them this morning, they were ready to make the corrections needed. So we'll see tomorrow.
And what are your expectations for those players, on how they handle this kind of a situation?
My expectations are for every player to try to play as best they can, max out what they can do. So those players are all different, all affect the game differently, but if each of them can play as well as they can, they're doing their part.
Dave, you talked about the goals against going up recently, especially last week or two. Mm-hmm. How much of that would you put on the goaltenders themselves?
I would put part of it on that, but not all of it by any stretch. We're giving up too many good chances. Now the goaltenders will tell you, hey, they'd like to make a few more saves. Some of the people make mistakes say they'd like to make a few less mistakes. It's the way it is, but it all goes hand in hand. Nobody talks about it when early in the year when we had some games where we got outchanced bad and our goaltender stood on his head. It's just that's the cycle that we go to, and when you're giving up a lot, the goaltenders know they think they can clean up some of that problem, and they can, right? But we can clean up some problems in front of them too.
Dave, Nygaard, is he hurt or?
Yeah, he's got. We'll see where he is tomorrow morning. He was a little sore this morning, so we kept him off the ice, but he's not. He's still a possibility for tomorrow, I think.
And Haas, yeah, with the most minutes he's played last night? Is that because there weren't many power plays or?
Yeah, a lot of 5-on-5, a lot of 5-on-5 last night, but he played well. I thought that line played real well for us last night. You know, Gags is, we talked about Gags, he came in and he gives us a little bit of skill there. Neeler actually dug in. It's nice to see Neeler have a plus game, you know, but Haas's line was pretty good.
Dave, first time this season, you guys have gone winless in 3 games. As a coaching staff and as a collective as a whole, how much do you have to embrace this process of learning in order to ultimately seek out to become the great team you guys hope to be?
You know what, all year long, we've embraced the process of learning, whether we won 3 in a row or whether, you know, this is the first time we've lost 3 in a row. So you're still doing a lot of the same things, but when you lose, there's extra emphasis put on certain things that you want to make sure are the things you take care of that made you lose. So, but even, you know, like I mentioned, there were some games early in the year, we were doing some things that I thought if we played another game just like that game we won, we would lose. So you address them then too, you know. So it's a process every day. You go through it and you analyze your team, where we're at, different parts of our game that need to improve and different parts of our game that we need to accentuate. And then there's parts of our game that I think we still have to evolve into, that our group they're growing, but we're not there yet. So it's every day you're looking at all the good, bad, ugly, confused, real good stuff. It's all on the board.
You have Connor and Leon back together, at least for practice today. They've spent some time apart recently. You've moved it around a little bit. When you play them together, what qualities do you want to see overall in their game for it to make sense to continue to do that outside of the offense?
Well, they can be dominant, but the other part of it is if they're really carrying the load offensively, the two of them, teams can really focus on them, right, when they're together. If they're apart, sometimes it creates a harder matchup. But so some of that depends on how the game's going. You know, like I thought in the Carolina game, McDavid with Nygaard, that speed, the extra speed we needed there was help that. They don't give you a lot of stuff off the rush, so it's got to come down to forecheck. So Nygaard's a good forechecker, so you're looking for different stuff there. In the critical situations of the game, power plays, that's when, I mean, Connor and Leon and Zach they're good together. So you try to find the times when you can maximize what you're doing with them together, and then try to maximize when they're not together to help the whole group.
Dave, Sam Gagner, I know you call him your utility guy, and you like to move him around, and played center, second line, he's moved out, but he's also been scratched a bunch of games. He's a guy who has actually produced a little bit given the ice time he has. What is maybe preventing him in your mind of either playing him a little bit more, giving him a bit more of an opportunity?
There's different scenarios that we're looking for. Like some of it is how many penalty killers we've had in the lineup, and now we've gone a little bit less with that. Sometimes it depends on the style of game that we think we're going to get into. But Gags is like he can come in and make plays. That's the one thing he can. But you know, there's a guy like Archie's a real good penalty killer. We like, you know, that's a part of our game we really need to make sure is buttoned down. You know, Gags is a better power play player, but we haven't used him on a top power play. Our second power play doesn't get a lot of time. So you're balancing everything out. But he's when he's come in and played, he's you know, done a good job for us. All right, thanks.